Hey, it's Will, bringing you this video for Gohan Solo. We're going to be having a look at another deck from the reboot of Yu-Gi-Oh! That Harry G07 has been doing. He's actually been doing it for quite some time, but thanks to the new sort of custom card creator card feature on Dueling Book, we've actually been able to really develop the game. If you want to play the game on Dueling Book, if you want to use his cards, you go to more options, all custom cards, and type in the description Harry with an I, HARIGO7. Press enter, and you'll get a list of all of his cards. At the moment, you've got starter deck Kyber and starter deck Yugi. I would seriously suggest playing that format for quite some time because there's a lot to it before you move on to LOB, which is also available, as well as starter deck Pegasus, Joey, and Metal Raiders. So the deck I'm going to be looking at today is a Metal Raiders deck, so that includes everything: Starter deck Yugi, Kyber, LOB, and Metal Raiders. And the deck is Insects. You might notice that there are 5 cards out of the deck. That's just because I want to talk about the different variations that you can do with the last 5 cards. But this essentially is the core of the deck, and it's Insects. Insects is a really powerful deck, and it's very type focused. The deck is basically just all insects, but it's also very how do I say it? It's very insular. The cards are really powerful, but only with each other. There's not much going on that you could use the insects with outside of the insect deck. So it is very, very sort of archetypal. It's very strong, but the cards are stuck in their own archetype, as it were. I think probably the most important card to talk about first is Forest. But before I say that, I think the direction that Harry went when he was kind of building this deck, or building insects in particular, is the idea of giving insects as a type the mechanic of being able to special summon from hand. So this is a fast deck, and obviously with the intention of swarming, because they are insects, you want to get lots of them on the field. That's the idea. And you might think that's broken, but as I say, the deck is very, very self-contained. It is just insects that do it, and you do need other insects in order to get that sort of fast special summoning going on. So yeah, I think probably the first card that's worth talking about is Forest. So while you control an insect or plant monster, this card gains the following effect, and it's only you as well. So you and only you control a insect or plant. Once per turn, you contribute one monster you control. Special summon one monster from your deck with the same type as the tributed monster, whose level is less than or equal to the level of the tributed monster +2. So basically, with Forest plus any insect means you can get a different insect of the same of the same, what is it, attribute, the same type from the deck, and special summon it. So it ends up being a very, very powerful way to accelerate into the deck. Where's a good place to start? I think Petite Moth is a pretty good place to start. It's a vanilla, but you can include as many of them as possible in your deck as you want. I've opted to go for 2. This deck, this core here that you're seeing, without the directions that you can take it included in. This deck here took quite a while to develop in terms of the ratios, working out what goes in the deck and at what ratio. Petite Moth at 2 is pretty good. He actually ends up being a really, really important card for the deck, and you might see how by looking at Cocoon of Evolution. So Cocoon of Evolution, 2k defense, no attack. If you control Petite Moth, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Cocoon of Evolution once per turn this way. And while this card is face up on the field, insect type monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Now, Cocoon of Evolution actually ends up being basically the most important card in the deck to have on the field, which is part of the reason you want to be including Petite Moth, so that you can special summon it in face up defense. The ability to prevent insects being destroyed by effects is really, really paramount for winning. Essentially, you can, because of Cocoon of Evolution and because of the effects of the other insects, you can basically make a huge field and sometimes draw up to 4 cards off of the effect of Great Moth, which I'll explain later on. Just because of Cocoon of Evolution, you really, really want this guy out as early as possible. In terms of getting Cocoon of Evolution or any of the other insects out of the deck, firstly you have, I don't know how this guy is pronounced, Kumutoko. So level 3 insect, was a vanilla originally, 700 attack, 14 defense. If you control an insect type monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. When this card is special summoned, you target one monster you control, add one insect type monster from your deck to your hand whose level is less than the targeted monsters, and if you do, destroy the target. So for example, if you have, let's say, what can we say, if you have Jiragumu on the field, because it's an insect, you can special summon Kumutuko, and you can target the Jiragumu. Then you can search your deck for a level 3 or lower insect, and then once it's been added to your hand, you pop the Jiragumu or whatever insect you targeted. However, of course, you have a Cocoon of Evolution. If you have Cocoon of Evolution on the field, the targeted monster will not be destroyed, and you will still get the search. So, Kumutuko is pretty good. Obviously, because it lets you search most of your deck. The things you really want to be searching, if you don't have them. The unfortunate thing with the Kumutuko, or whatever it's called, is that it does search monsters with lower levels than the target insect. Which is good card design, because that prevents it from being able to target itself and search Cocoon of Evolution, and Cocoon of Evolution is really, really powerful in the game, so you want to make it a bit harder to, or powerful in the deck. It's basically the key card of the deck. I discovered after some time of playing the deck and working out what was good about it. So yeah, it's quite good, but you can use it to search Petite Moth, which obviously, in turn, when Petite Moth's on the field, you can special summon Cocoon of Evolution from the hand, and yeah, it's pretty effective. The other card that's similar to Kumotuku is Hunter Spider. Hunter Spider is level 5, 16 attack, 14 defense. If you control an insect type monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Hunter Spider once per turn this way. If this card is summoned, you can target one monster you control, add one insect type monster from your deck to your hand whose level is equal to or less than the target monster, and if you do, destroy that monster. So obviously Hunter Spider is a level 5, and it's kind of an upgraded version of the level 3 guy that special summons itself from the hand if you control an insect, not to mention the fact that this guy can search monsters with equal to level to the target monster, so it can target itself and pop itself to search another level 5 if you wanted, even though there's not any other level 5. But you could, for example, normal summon Kumututo, whatever it's called, then special Hunter Spider, target it, search the Cocoon, and then pop the unpronounceable guy's name. Jiragumu. So, sorry, before I move on, this is kind of the real push of the deck, I suppose, is summoning Petite Moth, getting the special summon of Cocoon, then you can special summon Hunter Spider, use his effect on himself to search the Kumutuko, whatever it's called, by targeting himself, but he doesn't get destroyed off the search because of Cocoon of Evolution's effect preventing insects from being destroyed by card effects. Then you special summon the Kumutuko, target the Hunter Spider, get another free search, and the Kumutuko doesn't destroy itself. And then you have the ability to summon Great Moth, which I'll talk about later, and get a big plus of it. So yeah, these are essentially the playmakers, and this is the card for getting the kind of the final push going with Great Moth. Jiragumu, level 4 insect, Earth, 2200 attack, 100 defense. When this card declares an attack, roll a 6-sided dice. If the result is an even number, lose half of your life points. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add one insect type monster from your deck to your hand whose level was lower than the destroyed monster. So really very potentially negative effects, obviously, for having a 22 beater. The big thing about Jiragumu, sometimes you use it to attack, sometimes you're desperate to get the search into the Petite Moth, for example, and just crashing over anything that's level 2 or higher will obviously get you the search of the Jiragumu. Really, what Jiragumu is good for is being a level 4 that you can target with this guy. The problem with the other insects is that they're all, except with the exception of Hunter Spider and the big guys, they're all like level 2 or level 3, so his targets are quite limited, and Jiragumu does provide a nice first turn play in terms of normal summon him, special summon him, and then you can pop the Jiragumu in order to search a level 3 or lower, which is very useful. But as I say, you can use it as an attacker, and I mean, losing half your life points, it depends. It depends if you're in a commanding position or not, really, but of course it's available as a desperation play as well. It's a good card for the fact that it's the level 4 insect that you can just summon, and yeah, it's pretty good. It's not too bad. The next card is Lava Moth. So if you control a Petite Moth, you can special summon this card from your hand. You contribute this card to add one card with Great Moth in its name from your deck to your hand, and if you do, return one monster you control to its owner's hand. And that leads us pretty naturally into Great Moth. So Great Moth is the kind of the end of the special summon combo, so to speak. So what you do normally want to spend the first few turns doing is just getting Petite Moth and just getting Cocoon of Evolution, and then just putting them on the field. Ideally, you want two Cocoon of Evolutions, and this is the reason. So Great Moth cannot be special summoned or set. Must first be special summoned by tributing one Petite Moth and one Cocoon of Evolution you control. If summoned, draw one card for each insect type monster you control. Then, if your opponent controls any set cards until the end of turn, they cannot be activated in response to the summon of an insect type monster. So yeah, Great Moth is huge because it can draw you so many cards if you have the Cocoon of Evolution on the field, because you can make plays like Petite Moth Cocoon into Hunter, into this guy, search in another one, and then hopefully you would search off of the Hunter Spider, you would search into, or either of the searchers, you would then search the second Cocoon of Evolution, special summon it along, because you've still got the Petite Moth on the field, then you contribute the Petite Moth and the Cocoon to special summon the Great Moth, and by that point you've got four insects on the field, so you draw four cards. Also, your opponent can't really respond in any meaningful way because of Cocoon of Evolution, protecting it from being destroyed. Obviously, that's not always the case that you have the second Cocoon of Evolution, but you're still going to get the draws anyway, but it is obviously preferable to have the protection there on field. Yeah, so Insect Queen is a pretty interesting card. Insect Queen is really, really good. She's level 7, which means that you can summon her off a forest with Hunter Spider. So just going like normal summoning anything, special summoning Hunter Spider, popping the thing that you normal summon, getting the search, and then using Forest to make Hunter Spider into a Insect Queen. If you're going turn 1, putting her in defense is nice, and if you're going second, then her effect is really, really, really strong coming off of Forest. So if you control an insect type monster, you contribute summon this card in addition to your normal summoner set. You very rarely do that. You don't really want to be getting Insect Queen in your hand. It's not good to draw. It's not bad to draw because obviously it has the additional summon and set, and you can use it for things. But really, what you want to be doing is summoning it off a forest. If this card would be destroyed, destroy another insect type monster you control. Instead, during the end phase, if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle this turn, special summon as many swarm tokens, 100 attack, 100 defense insects as possible. And they cannot be used as tribute material except for an insect type monster. So really, really powerful to bring the Insect Queen out of the forest, go in second, and just get a wall basically. Just get 4 guys in defense or whatever, or however many in defense that you have room for. It's just really, really strong. I think Harry initially intended it not to be the case that Insect Queen and Great Moth would be used in the same deck, but the reality of Forest makes it so that Insect Queen and Great Moth are very compatible. They're both really strong. Insect Queen is kind of its own thing in the deck, is kind of slightly separate from these cards, but it's just really, really good. It gives you insects which you really want, so you can special summon. It gives you insects to use for her own effect, of course. So yeah, Insect Queen is really good. I kind of this is part of the deck, a kind of development stage as well, is realizing that Man-Eater Bug would be really, really good in the deck against other particular decks. Man-Eater Bug's effect is the same, but it is strong, of course, because if you do have a dodgy hand, if you do have a bit of a dead hand, you can just go normal summon Man-Eater Bug, or of course set Man-Eater Bug. But if you have one of these guys, then you can normal summon it and then get the search into the Petite Moth, or get the search into, you know, a level 5 or lower, or a level 2 or lower, because of their ability to pop themselves. Other than Forest, the spells, you've got free MST. MST is now included as it comes out in Start Deck Pegasus, which is fantastic. You've got the modified Graceful Charity, which draws 3 cards but then banishes 2 cards from your hand face down. Of course, Pot of Greed in this reboot version of the game, you draw 2, but your opponent also draws 1, and you can only use 1 per duel. Harpy's Feather Duster is now around in Metal Raiders. Its effect is destroy or spell traps your opponent controls, then take 400 damage for each card destroyed this way. You can only activate 1 Harpy's Feather Duster per duel. So far, cards like Duster and Heavy Storm aren't, in my opinion, really making that much of an impact. By the time Metal Raiders comes out, the trap lineup is starting to drop a lot, because the decks from the starter deck days, the starter deck Yugi, starter deck Kaiba, were um, very themed already. The cookie cutter decks weren't very good against the themed, sort of more, not archetypal, but more decks that leaned towards one type of monster. Fiends, for example, because Yami is a good card, or Rocks, for example, because Wasteland's a good card. So they were more advantageous than just playing cookie cutter decks. So yeah, and I think that's kind of just stepped up a little bit in Metal Raider. So cards like Harpy of Duster aren't really very good. There's not massive amounts of back row. Plus, as well, Dark Magician is still good. If you don't know Dark Magician in this format, let me just search it quickly. It's an artifact type card, and it's very, very powerful. So yeah, so there's its effect there. So it's very, very powerful. So using cards like MST blindly or using a Duster can be pretty devastating. I actually had a quite an unfortunate playing against using this deck, playing against a different deck. I had two MSTs and my opponent had two back rows, so I MST'd. So I draw for my first turn. I MST one, it's a Solemn Judgment. Then I MST the other one, it's a Dark Magician. So he summons the Dark Magician and gets to set the Solemn that I just MST'd back. So that's pretty harsh. But yeah, so cards like Dark Magician do act as a balancing factor for cards like MST and Duster. Then Monster Reborn is the same, but you can only activate once per duel. Dark Hole, you can only activate once per duel, and then Raigeki you can only activate once per duel. So looking so I think the first thing to say is this deck, in terms of the ratios, in terms of the way I was playing the deck, and in terms of how long it took me to realise the importance of Cocoon of Evolution in particular, took quite a while. It was a difficult deck to build. It doesn't just put itself together, and that is in part because of cards like Basic Insect and Killer Needle, which I'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, this is a pretty good build. It's got pretty good ratios, and it's very, very, very strong. But at the same time, it's fair. It's not steamrolling the meta or anything like that. The meta that we've come up with so far, anyway. It's not steamrolling the meta or anything like that, and it's also incredibly self-contained. They're all about the insects, and it really is the insects that have that special summoning mechanic, which I think makes the game really, really interesting. So yeah, looking at the 5 final spaces. So what I have been playing up until now, but I think I'm going to change, is White Hole. So White Hole in this game is a normal trap. If your opponent activates a card or effect that would destroy monsters, negate that effect. If you control no face down cards, you can activate this card from your hand. So I was originally playing White Hole, obviously because this is, swarm focused. And White Hole, I was kind of almost picturing it as like Forbidden Lance in a way, just using it as that protection against the back row. But it's kind of taken a backseat a little bit since I realised how good Cocoon of Evolution is. Not to mention the fact that Solemn Judgment is now a thing in Metal Raiders as well. So actually White Hole doesn't stop Solemn, which realistically, because of Cocoon, is the only thing that stops you anyway. So I think White Hole was a bit of the wrong choice. Harris suggested I use 7 Tools of the Bandit instead, which just reads when a trap card is activated, negate the activation and destroy it. Because you're just having a crazy spam special summon deck. You just want to stop the one trap that they're going to have that can stop them from losing, essentially. So I think I'm going to put 2 7 Tools in the main. The other thing that I was using that was pretty interesting, but ended up not really working out too well in practice, is I was playing 3 Battle Steer. So Battle Steer is a level 5 Earth Beast Warrior, and it says if you tribute summon this monster using an Earth monster, you can destroy one face-up monster your opponent controls with the lowest attack. So basically my thought process of this obviously was that you would have miscellaneous insects lying, and all of them are Earth that I'm playing in the main deck at the moment. You'd have miscellaneous insects lying around on the field after, like, Insect Queen, for example, or making a Great Moth play, or just you just have pieces if you were still trying to build your field. And then if your opponent summons a threat that you can't deal with, you just summon Battle Steer and pop it. And also Battle Steer has the effect of once per turn you can target one monster on the field until the end phase. It gains attack equal to half the target monster's attack. So it basically steals the attack as well. So Battle Steer, while in hypothetically was pretty good, it ended up just sitting in my hand because the insect plays, you either wanted to be building your next turn play with these 2 guys, or setting up the Cocoon of Evolution for the push, or just making insect queen or whatever. So yeah, Battle Stick ended up not being that great. Instead, Harry suggested I play Killer Needle, which is a wind insect, and if you control an insect type monster, you can special summon this card from your hand once per turn. If there are 2 or more insect type monsters on the field, you can target one insect type monster in the field and one monster your opponent controls and destroy them. The reason this is fantastic is, oh god, I just took them out. Let me put them back in. Killer Needle. Killer Needle. The reason this is fantastic is because firstly, it is a level 4 insect that you can normal summon, which is amazing in the exact same way that Juragumi is amazing, because you need level 4s in order to search Cocoon of Evolution off of this guy. And secondly, if Cocoon is on the field, you can special summon it, and then it's a free pop because it just targets itself. It can't be destroyed by card effects because of Cocoon, and it destroys your opponent's monster, which is fantastic. So yeah, I think this is the direction I'm going to be going with the deck from this point onwards. So yeah, this is the Metal Raiders insect deck. Had a fair amount of playtesting with this, and I'm pretty happy with it. Oh, one more thing I should mention actually is Basic Insect was originally in the main deck as a 3 of. Let me just read its effects. So you can special summon this card from your hand. When special summoned this way, your opponent summons one monster from their hand. Now the idea was with Basic Insect, I was originally playing 3 of them because I thought it was the starter of the deck. I was like, oh okay, so you special summon Insect and you special summon one of these guys, and you go from there. In reality, no, it really wasn't. It didn't add anything to the deck because it was level 2. It could only search Petite Moth, or it could only search Lava Moth, and searching Lava Moth isn't the most important thing in the world. So yeah, Basic Insect is a bit of a trap, I think, for the early sort of deck building part of playing this deck. Is I think your initial reaction is you want to play Basic Insects, but it actually ends up doing nothing, and just playing the higher level insects is a better. And then even something like Man-Eater Bug ends up being better than it because obviously it's searchable, and yeah, it's pretty strong. So yeah, that's the insect deck. Thanks for watching. And as I say, obviously, if you want to play this format, you can let us know, and you can have a look at all of the cards that Harry's made for them at the moment by typing in Harry G07 in the custom cards part of the Dueling Book. Alright, I'll see you later for probably some games with this deck. I'll do a video with some games with this deck. Thanks very much.